What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another Monday Ramble. It is September 23rd, 2024. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I had a pretty decent weekend until Sunday. Goofing around, they gave me a saw. They regret it now. When I say they, I mean me, but, it skipped off the wood, and it clipped my finger. Got a couple stitches, 3 stitches. Could have been worse. I could have lost it, or it could have hit a tendon or something like that. So very fortunate in that regard that it wasn't worse than it was. And accidents happen, right? Accidents happen, and there's only one thing you can go about it is trying to, you go to the hospital, get fixed or whatever. Hopefully, there ain't no infections or something like that. But it could have been a heck of a lot worse. I was giving my son a safety tutorial. I failed, but it was good that he stayed quite a good distance away, right? Maybe that in and of itself would resonate more as a safety concern for him when he gets older, right? Because he's always trying to help me out and stuff like that. I always make him watch for like afar or whatever, like, hey man, that's dangerous stuff. You stay over there, and that shows, how dangerous it can be and things like that. It didn't hurt too bad, I guess, but I think when kind of shock went in, then I was like, ooh, like I'm glad that fiance was able to drive me in and stuff like that. Very fortunate to have people like that, right? I could have drove myself, but I was like, I'd just rather not. Let's just go in there, things like that. So guard your fingers, make your fingers, your toes, all that stuff. When you're doing stuff, you might have done it 1,000,000 times, 100 times, and it just takes one good time for something bad to happen. And if something bad is going to happen, it's going to happen, right? There's not much you can do about it. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts you can say to change those things. There's only one thing, is to be as safe as you can at the moment. Accidents are going to happen, and hopefully they're not as bad as they can get. That they're somewhat of a minimal for accident-wise, anyways. It could have been just a little bit more force and stuff like that. It'd be worse. It's not uncommon. We had a few years ago that there was a guy. He got pinched in a tractor accident, ended up losing his leg. They had to cut his leg off and stuff like that. Anything can happen. There's people that lose their fingers on those big old construction paper cutters that cut in a straight line. I can't remember what they're called right now, but they have cases where people lost some fingers on that thing. And it's real sharp and things like that. We take them for granted because, like I said, we handle them hundreds of thousands of times, maybe millions, and that you get complacent, and you're not as cautious as you were. Sometimes you overestimate your ability to do something because you've done it a bunch of times, right? And it sucks, but there's only if you get fucked up from it, there's only one thing that is going to go through your mind every time that you come close to those type of things, is that you got to be cautious, that you got to keep your hands in a safe place, your feet in a safe place, or whatever affected body part, right? Shit. It's an eye-opener, right? That anything can change at any moment. I guess we already know it, but usually it's not until something actually happens that you get more of a full grasp, and then you heal up. If you do, it's not too bad that you take some kind of lesson from it. But sometimes you only take the lesson during like the healing process, and you heal up, and it could be you forget about it the next time. So it's just be cautious, right? Be cautious, because you don't get multiple fingers. They don't just grow back. Your toes neither. Especially when you're young, you don't understand that and things like that. There's people where I've seen where we're like asking questions if what would happen if I stuck my finger in this, like a tinning pot, molting hot solder. It's like, dude, we'll be taking you to the goddamn hospital, dude. Like, what are you talking about? that thing's 6 to 700 degrees. What do you expect's going to happen when that's metal right there? That thing's more solid than your finger when it's not heated up to that certain temperature, melting to its melting point. And I was like, you get one little drop on you probably can cry or something. Like it's gonna burn. So there's people like that I've seen. Some people that don't humble themselves because they're in college or something like that. I've seen them. They have the crimp terminals, and they're sitting there talking shit about everybody because they're in college or something, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so much smarter, more intelligent than you because I go to college or whatever." And then they do some dumb shit, like the dumbest shit I've ever seen. I'm like, I ain't never seen no smart person do some dumb shit like this, dude. Like just talking shit. It's pretty hilarious. It's like, it doesn't matter where you're at in life, you go to school or something like that, you still got to remain humble. You don't know what type of education anybody else has or type of experience. Sometimes experience outweighs some of that stuff, outweighs anything you're going to learn in a textbook. Maybe not technically, but if you don't pull in that knowledge and gain any actual experience that gives those words fluidity that are on paper, may not make sense to some people. A lot more people it does, but there are still going to be people that it doesn't resonate with them because sometimes you got to go through it in order for it to make sense to you. And that's life for you, man. That's life experiences. For someone like me, I'm more of a technical person that has to learn hands-on and things like that. It just makes more sense. I can read and stuff like that. I got some comprehensions, but it's like sometimes things just don't make sense, especially in a way of when you have to do it. I took auto mechanics, auto maintenance classes and stuff like that, small engines and stuff when I was in high school. And you're reading the books. For me, it's like it didn't make much sense until I started working on them. And I'm like, okay, that's what that means. And I don't know why it didn't make sense to me. That's just how some people's brains are, mine included, right? And I'm just it's gotta be fortunate, I guess, and go about learning things and maybe work on comprehension. Sometimes you gotta go out and experiment before it actually makes sense to you and stuff like that. So it's never a bad thing to seek knowledge in many different forms, but the most important form is probably going to be the way that makes most sense to you, right? And I used to be a terrible student. There's no secret about it. I'm not very good, wasn't very not necessarily smart, because I just didn't apply myself or anything like that. I was just worried about playing sports. I didn't, I wasn't in I played sports, but I didn't play for any teams or anything like that. But I did like having fun, lunchtime, running around, playing basketball or tag and all this other kind of shit. But I just didn't apply myself at school because of I was a stubborn kid, and I just didn't care for school. And I was like, everybody was talking about school since I was real young, maybe kindergarten. That's when I first heard everybody like, oh, I'm going to go to Harvard or whatever the fuck. And it's like, chances of that was pretty low, especially if they didn't apply themselves as they got older, because it seems like you're talking about school at that age, but then everybody kind of a lot of people start dropping off around late elementary to middle school, high school and stuff like that. They don't apply themselves as much, and you kind of see that. There was this one kid, he come from Nigeria or something like that. Erickson, his last name was Erickson, and I think his first name was Eric Erickson, and he was came from they immigrated from a poor part of there, and when he first got there, it was about third grade. He was a smart kid, a real smart kid, and he did a lot of studying to get there. get to the States. And he was applying himself because he wanted to be a doctor, he said, and stuff like that. Wanted to continue his education as he got older and stuff like that. But it just, as we got older and we reached middle school, he wanted to be he turned into a different person, right? He wanted to he was all like dropping N-bombs and like talking like he was like a gangster or something like that. But he still he kind of dressed the same way, so it was hilarious. Like, I don't know if he's just posing at school, and then at home he's back to being the little brainiac kid at home or something. I don't know, but I don't know. It's just kind of hilarious. See, like, a lot of those transitions. In my time, there was like we were pretty diverse. A lot of Hmong kids, African American kids, from different forms, Somalian, and like Guyanese, and there was a bunch of different. There was a melting pot of racial backgrounds, right? Myself included. There wasn't very many Native Americans. I think there was like maybe 1% Native Americans, and I was like, one of them or whatever. There's probably like 5 natives in the school, so it was like less than 1% or whatever. But it is what it is. I don't even. I just pulled off here, but yeah, it's very diverse. It was like we didn't have any racism or anything like that growing up. And this is the Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center area and stuff like that. And it wasn't until like middle school when I kind of noticed like there was starting to be like some kind of racial divide. I seen kids that were best friends when I was in like 3rd, 4th grade, and they pretend like they didn't know each other at this time, right? And I was like, man, those dudes were like the best of friends. I wonder what happened, I ended up going like to some little native school, Heart of the Earth, for a couple years, and then came back, and I was like starting to notice that stuff. And I'm like, what in the world? But while I was at Heart of the Earth, those guys didn't like any other race because more native. They found out I told them that I was part Korean and stuff like that, and kids could be terrible, especially if you're slightly different. If that's the cool thing to do is talk shit to somebody, they're gonna do it, right? and things like that until they get bored, or you fight somebody, and whichever one happens, they might never get bored of that, unless somebody steps up for you or something too. I've seen that too, where people are talking shit and they're like, hey man, leave them fuck alone or something, and those type of things can happen too. So you better tell that person thank you if you're being bullied and they speak up on your behalf. Speaking up can take a lot of courage for somebody too. It's not easy to confront those things head on and things like that. So if anybody knows that, it would be the person being bullied too, and things like that. Sometimes it's going to take you stepping up and saying something to those people, so you got to rid yourself of fear in your heart before you do those things. Like I said, it takes a lot of courage. I was once on the side of being bullied, and I ended up becoming a bully, and I was like, what a fucking dickhead, and really had to search inside within myself, and I stopped being a bully and stuff like that too. And I'm like, what am I doing here? What am I doing in my life? And I was only in like middle school, just about high school, I think. High school was probably about to end. 9th grade, yeah, that's when I was like, oh man, I can't be treating people like that. I know how crappy it feels to be treated like shit. Why am I treating people like shit now? Because I'm a little bit bigger than people. That's a shitty thing, right? But regardless, I hope you guys have a great week. Stay safe. Watch your fingers, watch your toes, and be a little bit more happy, I guess, for no reason whatsoever, just then that you're alive and stuff like that, and you get to spend it with loved ones and things like that. But anyways, peace out, guys.